Hey everybody, it's Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini, and welcome to a somewhat impromptu sew and chat here tonight that we're doing way later than usual. But welcome everybody. I see we have a bunch of people already tuned in. So let's make sure y'all can see me and hear me, and let's say hi to some friends. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat box, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. Let us know in the chat box below. Hi Wendy. Wendy's tuning in from Australia. We got Nancy in the house from Claremont, Florida. Awesome. Hi Tamra. We got Linda from South Florida. We got Dory in the house. She says Northwest Chicago suburb. Let's see. Jennifer Lee's in the house from freezing Massachusetts, she said. Hi, awesome. Okay. Hey, Janelle. Okay. And Susie's in the house, and I think Claudia was on earlier too. So great. Okay. Hi, Heather. She says, looks good from California. Okay, awesome. So I'm glad y'all can see me and hear me, and I'm going to just let y'all know is 9 o'clock on a Friday night here. I'm not putting on no makeup for y'all. We just did a little lip gloss so I could look alive. And we're going to be, I'm going to be sewing a t-shirt tonight. This t-shirt from a pattern that I'm teaching in my new Jalie online sewing course. If you've watched any of the last 3, 4, 5 videos that I've posted anywhere on Facebook, on Instagram, or on YouTube, you probably know what class I'm talking about because we close registration this coming Monday, February 19th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So after midnight, Monday night, going to Tuesday morning, the price will go up by 40 bucks. Okay, so the class right now is $67 and the regular price is 107. So if you want to learn how to make some boxy t-shirts, short sleeve and long sleeve, some pullovers, sweatshirts, or hoodies, this is the class for you because it includes 28 different sizes from a youth size 2, which I have a couple samples here, little toddler size 2. I made a few so y'all could see. This is the long sleeve t-shirt or pullover version, okay, with ribbing that I used at the cuffs and for the neckband, but there is no band at the bottom for the hem. It's just turned under. So this is the smallest size, one of the looks. This is another one in the same size but shorter. There's several different hem options. There's a cropped version. There's a version that you attach a hem band. So if you want to have a contrasting band at the bottom, you cut it there and then attach that separate band. And then a longer version that you just turn under and hem. So there are so many looks. And the fact that this pattern is for everybody. I'm going to show you the one I made. Well, I'll show you these ones first. This is a cropped little sweater that I made for myself, okay, out of some animal print fabric, which I love. Then I have a longer one that I've worn on the show before, and I think in some YouTube videos even. And this is a longer one that I made for myself, same, using a double knit, a t-shirt, a boxy tee. And I'm going to be making myself another t-shirt, but in a size way smaller than this one. Um, this was the cropped version. I think this one I cut cropped because the other one is even longer. It's longer for the regular length, like the regular hem. There's so many options. You literally have to take really good notes so you know which one you're making and for who, okay? So let's see. Tamara says adorable in size 2, isn't it? When I made it, I was like, it's so cute. And then this is the long sleeve t-shirt in navy, in a navy bamboo rayon knit that I made for my husband. So men, women, kids, teens, adults, it doesn't matter. You can make this, or you can use this pattern to make all these different tops. And I'm walking everybody through step by step how to make every look, okay? So this is just in t-shirt material. You can see that the regular length that just gets turned under and hem is pretty long. This works out really great. My husband has a long torso. For me, the one that I'm making tonight, I actually cut it out of the size that I used to make him his because my fabric has a lot of stretch. So we'll see how that one turns out, and I'll probably have to put it on and then decide how short to make it because I have a short torso. So the long version is a little bit too long for me. I'm gonna plop these guys back here. And then, oh, I forgot to show you the last one, the hoodie, of course. I made it out of fleece. And this is a hoodie with a full kangaroo pocket that you can make using that same pattern. So can you imagine the t-shirts, the pajamas, the pullovers, the little sweatshirt sweaters with no hood, and the hoodies that you can make for everybody in the family with this pattern. So it is Jalie number 4131, the Laurent pattern, and we're currently sold out, but we have more on the way to us. Y'all sold us out super quick, and I think we had over 200 patterns, so those are already gone. We have more on the way to us because they need to come from Canada. Jalie is a French Canadian family owned company, and so we already ordered more. Those of you that are ordering tonight, and if you're going to be ordering over the weekend when you decide to sign up for my class, just order it on back order. You'll see when you go to purchase on our website, it says back ordered, and that's fine. Those are just us basically like pre-selling the orders. And then when we get our shipment of patterns, either Monday or Tuesday of this coming week, we'll ship them out as soon as we get them in hand. Okay, so you'll have them hopefully sometime next week for those of you that are somewhat close. Tamara says, does that buffalo fleece have stretch? So it does, and I actually have some fabric left over, Tamara, so we can measure it. Now, this pattern, this is another thing that the pattern, and let's go ahead and give them my over-the-shoulder camera shot. I apologize, this is going to be dark. There's way too many different colors going on with these fabrics here. So this buffalo plaid print here is way dark, and so then it makes everything look dark. But we're going to pretend, okay, because I'm going to show you the stretch. So this pattern only calls for a stretch knit fabric that has a minimum of 15% stretch. And I was saying, I think yesterday, or was it yesterday? No, the day before yesterday, in my last live show, I was saying that I rarely have ever seen a fabric that has that little bit amount of stretch. So really, all the cotton spandex that you can get your hands on, cotton lycra blends, that kind of stuff, t-shirt fabrics that a lot of the quilting fabric companies, that end up printing their same really pretty quilting cotton designs on that substrate. That's a cotton spandex. All of that stuff you can use, okay? So 15% stretch. This is, I can't remember if this is anti-pill fleece or blizzard fleece, but it's from Joann's. So if I grab here, well, let's find a selvage first. Yep, so this is my selvage. So if this is my selvage here, perpendicular to the selvage should be the degree of greatest stretch, right? So I'm going to grab this, I'm going to place it here, count my 4 boxes, and then I'm going to start stretching. So here's 4 inches, 25, 50, and almost 75, Tamara. So I think about 60% stretch, plenty along the crosswise grain, because again, the pattern only requires 15%. So I'm telling you, and that's the degree of greatest stretch. In the other direction, it doesn't even have a requirement in the pattern. And so if we go if we go parallel to the selvage, excuse me, I put it on my 4 inches right here, and I'm going to start pulling to see the amount. And this is more like 15% stretch, but it's in the other direction. So as long as that degree of greatest stretch of the crosswise grain gives us more than 15% stretch, it works out perfectly to make the hoodie. And of course, if you want it to be even roomier and have a lot more ease, you can always just size up. I made that one for myself in size AA, and it's still plenty big, plenty fine, and it definitely stretches. Okay, let's see. We have a question coming in here from Nancy, and Nancy's asking, will the tutorials include steps on how to make them on a serger? Great question. So for me, and let me stop talking so much without sewing. I'm going to grab my t-shirt. Some of y'all probably got your hands on this t-shirt. I'm going to answer your question in a second, Nancy. Or some of y'all got your hands on this fabric. We sold out. This was a Dear Stella print. Let me see if it says. I think it was called Caitlin. Yes. Caitlin by Caitlin Wallace Rowland for Dear Stella. It's a gorgeous, I mean, the colors, I just love them. This really pretty floral. We sold out, of course, long gone. That sold out the first day we listed it in the fabric bundles. But I had a chunk here that wasn't, I mean, I don't even think this was a yard. I had to really get creative, y'all, with cutting out my sleeves. I had to make this so that it's short sleeve. And when I get to the neckband piece, which I've prepped already, I'll tell you what I had to do, but why it will still work, because I had literally no more fabric that I could cut on the fold to get a good amount of stretch along the crosswise grain. So I'm going to start sewing. I have put together the front, the back of my t-shirt, and I'm just starting on the sleeves now. So this is one short sleeve that's been pinned, and then we'll move on to the other one, all right? But I'm just going to keep yapping about. Let me grab some water. Let me know what y'all are doing while you sit here and watch me yap and sew. Let's see. So Nancy's question, she was asking if the videos are going to, in the videos in my course for this top, if they include how to make them on a serger. So for all my garment sewing classes, what I do is I teach all the video lessons, just making it with a home sewing machine, because that's what the majority of my students have, okay? Especially for these beginner-friendly classes where y'all are, maybe just starting off with stretch knits, or you're just experimenting to see if you're really gonna love making clothes and things like that. And so the lessons themselves are on a sewing machine, but I always add bonus videos at the end that do give you serger sewing tips on how you would make this pattern. Sometimes I have patterns where, like, you can't make the entire garment with a serger. So in those videos, I'll tell you like you can make it up to here, but then you'll have to switch over to your sewing machine and then do this step and that step. In this case, that or in this project or this course, that's not the case. You can make the whole thing on a serger. And so I'll include a bonus video for how you sew it on a serger and how to hem it on a cover stitch. And I find that that's helpful because some of my students may not have those machines, but I think people, when they start getting into garment sewing, they start thinking, oh, do I need a serger? What is this serger stuff? And so it gives you an opportunity to kind of look at that bonus video and see how I use it to make projects like these, and then decide if it's something that you want to invest in, something that you want to save up for, or I know some of you have a cover stitch or a serger in a box in a closet somewhere. And so if you have been looking for or needing an excuse to get it out the box and use it, those bonus videos come in really handy for that as well. All right. Okay. Oh, how cute. Crystal says laying in bed next to a sleeping 3-year-old listening on headphones. I'll try not to be too loud. How fun. My daughter has a friend over. I was like, listen, from 9 to 10, zip it. All that preteen giggling and hee-heeing and hawing and I was like, we going live late tonight, but they gonna be up all night, so they're good. Let's see. Heather's like, need is not really the right word. Oh, let me see. Oh, hi, Carrie. Thanks for tuning in. Heather says, my question is, do I need a cover stitch? I have a serger. So, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Sometimes, and back here behind me, I will have my machines all set up, the sergers, the cover stitch, all that. And sometimes I still just do them on the sewing machine. I just keep it basic, and I don't know, like the finishings, when I really want to put in that good effort and give it just like a nice finishing touch, I will sometimes just take my sweet time on the sewing machine. I don't know. One of the things, and I wonder if anybody else feels the same way, if some of you out there have sergers and you use it a lot. One of the things I don't like about whipping things up on a serger, and I will whip up, t-shirts, leggings, stuff like that, just quick, and be done in like less than an hour. I can throw a pair of leggings together. But there's something about the serger and those unfinished thread ends where it's like I serge it, but then I have to go back because I want to make sure that it's super duper secure. I go back into it with my sewing machine and I zigzag the tail end of the serger threads to the seam allowance. Does that make sense? Does anybody else do that? And sometimes I find like, if I have to do this, I'll just go ahead and stitch the whole thing out on my sewing machine. So that's how I feel sometimes about the serger. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but sometimes I ain't dealing with it. And I'll just do it all on my sewing machine. Christine's asking, are you using a stretch needle? Of course I am. Well, not a stretch. I should say I'm using a ballpoint jersey. I use the prop, like the ones that say stretch on them. I'll use those when I'm making dance wear, swimwear, stuff where the fabric is like that polyester spandex, that's nylon spandex stuff that's like really thick, like has good body, but it stretches a ton and it's going to be really stretched on your body. I'll use a stretch needle for that. But for cotton jersey and stuff like this, I'll use a ballpoint jersey needle, like for cotton spandex fabric. But if it's swimwear and dancewear, then yeah, I'll use the stretch. But so here is a short sleeve that I have sewn in here, and I'll share something with you. Some of you may have noticed. Aries Wanderer says Friday night is all right for an all-nighter, right? Especially when you're 12. But hold on. I'm trying to prop my little iPad up so I can be in. Ah, it's falling down. So I can be in touch with y'all here with this chat. Okay. So what I did was, of course, I have a serger, but I ain't serging it. We're doing it on the machine so I can share it with y'all here on the table for this live chat. I sewed this with a straight stitch. Can you believe it? I did. And the reason I did that is because I'm sharing with y'all like the most basic way to sew with stretch knit fabrics. And Jalie, in their pattern instructions, they include this. Let me stop talking before I pump up this iron because it's super loud. It's like a professional steam iron. And I want to steam this. The reason I use that straight stitch was to show you that you actually can. And you'll hear me say all the time, you don't want to go through here with a straight stitch because the stitches are going to pop when you stretch it. They will. Unless you stretch the fabric slightly as you stitch with the straight stitch. So you'll see that my stitches are not popping. And that maybe you saw me when I was sewing, I was kind of tugging on it, tugging on it, tugging on it as it took those stitches. And that just helps preserve the fabric's elasticity. If I'm trying to make a super top-notch garment, am I going to do that? No, I will use the proper lightning stitch if I'm doing it on my sewing machine, or I will use the serger, right? But this is a little tip there that y'all can use if you're whipping together some stretch knit fabrics. Now, this is my Laura Star iron. People are going to ask about it. It blows a lot of steam and it's very expensive. It's a good iron, but somebody else asked me today on Instagram. I was like, I mean, I don't know that I would be out there recommending this to just like a hobby home sewist because it costs almost $1,000, but it does steam really, really well. And for stuff like this, especially when you're stretching the fabric, as I was sewing, sometimes you get those little ripples in the fabric. And so when you steam it flat and hit it with the clapper, even like this from the wrong side, it really helps just the fabric relax a little bit and chill. Now, of course, the cotton spandex doesn't fray, so you technically don't have to finish this edge, but you can go back in there with a zigzag stitch and stitch that seam allowance down, which I'm not going to do because I really would like to actually finish this t-shirt with y'all here live tonight. So if I go like this, aha, I almost have a t-shirt. Look how cute. Aren't these my colors? Okay, let's stop admiring the quarter of a t-shirt that I have here and let's grab some pins and I'm going to attach the next sleeve here so that I can get moving with this thing. But if y'all have any questions on the course, let me know in the comments and I'm going to pop in here and see. Great. Kay Fisher is asking how long is a stitch length? So I actually have it set to 2.2, which is mighty, mighty short. Okay. The reason I do that is because I am stretching it to preserve the stretch, but I also want those stitches to be little so I can ensure that I'm grabbing the most fabric with each of those stitches. Okay. All right. Now, I will tell you, on one of these sleeves, I'm missing a chunk, but it was only like 1/8 of an inch, and I thought, you know what? I didn't have any more fabric. I looked and looked. I didn't have any more scraps of this one. And now y'all know me. I will totally rock a t-shirt with one sleeve, one of the same fabric, and one odd man out. But I really was just like, I need to just see if I can grab a sleeve out of this. And I did, but it's a little off, and I figured, I should be okay because the fabric stretches. And so we shall see if it comes out good or not. I mean, I think it will. It's just 1/8 of an inch off. It was here, like I didn't have enough for the second layer. Lynette says the iron, the iron. It is, it's a wild iron. But you hear that steam. When it blasts, baby, it blasts. My husband had an event to go to last night, and I was like, can I iron your shirt? It's been years. He doesn't wear like dress clothes like that. I just put that thing on a hanger and went steam, steam, steam. And it was a cotton one. You know how much those cotton long sleeve shirts like that, dress shirts, wrinkle. And I blasted that thing with steam and it was nice and smooth by the time I was done with it. So it does have like a separate container, like a water reservoir thing and everything. They're Laura Star. You guys can look them up. Laura, like Laura, and then Star. I think it's like, I don't know, like a sister company of Bernina or something, or under that. I know Bernina dealers usually sell them. Okay. Yes, so Anna's asking, did you pre-wash the fabric before you started sewing? Great question. You absolutely need to pre-wash your fabric, especially a fabric that has a natural fiber like cotton. Remember, I said this is cotton spandex. So, I mean, you could, roll the dice a little bit if you wanted to. If you know that you're making the size or you have a lot of stretch in the fabric and it ain't going to shrink that much, it might still fit you. But I always recommend wash your fabrics. The only time you'll hear me, like for quilting fabrics, I rarely ever pre-wash it. The fabrics are super good. It's just 100% cotton. But for clothes, I ain't playing about my clothes because the last thing I need is to be spending all this time making the garment and then I put it on and wash it and it shrinks on me. You want to get that shrinkage out before you cut out your fabric, your pattern pieces, okay? Of course, we definitely cover all of that in my course as well because I go step by step. I teach my class assuming you don't know anything and you've never sewn garments before. So if that's you and you want to sign up for an online sewing course where I basically hold your hand through making this t-shirt, short sleeve, long sleeve, little sweaters, pullovers, and the project that you make is going to depend really on the fabric that you choose. You saw that hoodie that I made. I just got fleece. If you wanted to buy sweatshirt fleece, which is going to be a little bit thinner than this, Blizzard or anti-pill fleece that they sell at Joann's, this is like the cheap stuff. But hey, it works. If you want to get some proper sweatshirt fleece, it's going to be lighter, drapier, and stretchier than this. You could be making them without the hood, with the hood, with the kangaroo pocket on the front, with a hood and no kangaroo pocket in the front. I mean, you could be doing a lot of stuff. All right. Tamara says, I used the Laura Star iron at a 2-day serger class with Deb Canham and it scared me. It does, the sound, and it might kick on. It has this thing where you'll see, like I'll be sewing and you'll hear it kick on, like it's just like some sound that it makes, because it does have I can't even pull it because the plug is already max length from the wall where it's plugged in. I can't plug it into any of my strip protector things because it trips it. It's one of those strong ones. Okay. So yes, great questions. Let me see. So Kathy says, or she's asking, my machine has a stretch stitch option. Should I be using that? Absolutely, you can if you have it. But I also like to show my students that if you don't have it, you don't have to feel like, oh, my sewing machine is not for that. If you have a sewing machine that has straight stitch or zigzag stitch capabilities, you can absolutely sew stretch stitch. I just recommend that you have zigzag because when it comes to hemming the bottom of the top, oftentimes you stretch the hem a lot. And so I don't want you doing this kind of like stretchy at the bottom hem because sometimes it gets tugged and those stitches can pop, especially for a hem where we like to lengthen the stitch length a little bit longer. The longer the stitch, the easier it's going to pop. So if you do like a basting stitch, and you could just pull on that and it will pop and break, okay? But you could do a stretch stitch. I'll tell you one of the reasons I do this for like a basic t-shirt like I'm doing right now, instead of using a stretch stitch, is because if you've ever sewn out that stretch stitch, the full length of a seam, yeah, you know you're going to be there forever. Because, woo, that sucker takes long to stitch out. It's not just like this. Even a short straight stitch is still faster than that. I'm sorry. And y'all know I have no patience. Oop. Let me see. Looks like I got a little buildup of thread here. I started off the shirt edge. Let me rethread my needle. All right, and let's keep going because after this I'm going to stitch down the sides and we'll do the neckband and see if my little hack for the neckband where I had to take a shortcut worked. Get rid of this. Oh, thank you, Janie. She says, I love the shirt you're wearing now. I made this one. This is my Westchester Dolman top made out of a rib knit, and I think it's a size medium. That's why you see the neckline fits me higher up and it's a little bit closer to the body. I don't have quite as much fabric here, even though it is a dolman sleeve, because it is 2 sizes smaller than the one that I typically cut for myself. But I like to do that because they're different shirts for wearing at different times, right? I don't always make the same pattern with the same exact, or the same pattern in the same size with different fabrics. I will change up the size that I choose to make based on the fabric that I'm using. Does that make sense? And so because this fabric has a ridiculous amount of stretch, and I mean like 135% or something crazy, I sized way down, and that's how the neckline came up higher. A lot of times people are like, how did you get the neckline so high? Well, because it's a smaller size, so it fits me just like a little bit more close to the body, if you know what I mean. And these are ballpoint pins for anybody that's wondering. I like to use ballpoint pins because similar to the ballpoint needle or like the jersey needle that you would be sewing with here, it nestles in between the fibers because it has a slightly blunter tip on the end instead of, making you pierce the fabric fibers. I have one of my magnetic seam cushions. Wow. One of my magnetic pin cushions that I use for my ballpoint pins. And my ballpoint pins are like colored, have little colored balls, and they're shorter than my others. So I try to do stuff like that that will help me differentiate between the different types of pins that I have. And Patrice is ooh, y'all got some good questions. Patrice is asking, are you using poly thread? Absolutely, I am. Remember, polyester thread is a man-made fiber. This is going super smoothly. I'm trying to see, am I sewing the sleeve to the right spot? I guess we shall see when I'm finished the seam. It's just like stitching so easily and like so smooth. You know when things are going so well that you're like, are they going so well that they are completely wrong? I think I'll be okay. All right. It is polyester thread, and I'm just using a generic all-purpose thread. This is Wonderfill designer thread. We sell it in our online shop at craftygemini.com/shop. We may only have like 1 or 2 colors left. Some neutrals is usually what I stock this thread in. I'm over here, ha ha ha, heeing and laughing, and I better have put this sleeve on right, because there is no going back from a 2.2 millimeter stitch length seam, okay? I will have to cut the entire thing off because I am not taking out them baby stitches. Let's see. All right. So Kathy's asking, my machine has a stretch stitch. Should I be using that to sew? You can. I just mentioned earlier, it just takes forever to stitch out. So where you feel like it needs maybe a little bit more security to preserve the seam, you can do that there. This fabric has so much stretch, I know it's still not really going to fit me super tight. Like it's not going to fit like a swim shirt or anything, even though I sized what, X, Y, Z, double A, 4 sizes smaller than mine. A lot of people get so nervous about like, oh my gosh, am I picking the right size? Y'all, I be making one size, I make one 2 sizes bigger, I go 5 sizes down, and they still all look good. So when we're dealing with stretch fabric, don't worry about it. You're going to be able to wear it. It's okay. The quilter in me will not let me turn this out without at least blasting the seam a little with some steam. It's like I used to tell all the kids when I taught in person at my shop. You sew a seam, you press a seam. They go around all day at the camps saying the same thing. We sew a seam, we press a seam. All right. Janie says the iron is like an air compressor. Exactly. Yep. Yep, it is. Okay. Let's go ahead and put the camera on my front just so I can show them what it's looking like so far. Ta-da! The front camera. Oh, okay. It just took a minute to pop up. Okay. I'm going to save this one for my next cruise. Looks like a little Hawaiian shirt, like a little Hawaiiana outfit. Okay. Let's get back to the table and back to work. Let's stitch up the side so we can have a shirt. I'm going to flip this, pretty sides touching. And you'll see that I haven't gone in and zigzag stitched these or anything. Oopsie. I hit my camera. I haven't gone in and zigzag stitched the seams or anything because it's cotton spandex and it doesn't fray. But I mean, when you do it and you're making it for, you know, someone or whatever, just finish off everything nicely. I don't need to because I can make 5 of these in an afternoon and only I will know what the inside of the seams will look like. Well, you guys too. All right, so I'm going to match up the underarm seams here just so that I have a good intersecting point there. And I can tell you right now, for somebody with a short torso, the regular length hem is way too long. I saw it right now when I held it up. Too long for me. But you know, this one could be for you. Do you like it? My husband will wear wild colors like this. Yeah, you like this one? You probably got sneakers that match, huh? Yeah, I might make this one for him. Ooh, I had to take a picture. I thought there was a notch somewhere here on the side. Maybe I forgot to snip it. No big deal. My fabric matches nicely, so I know it goes end to end. You can do that too if you forget to clip your notches. On something like this, it's not going to matter, right? Because it's just the full length going down the side. Oh, Crystal says, I'm learning already. I had no idea there were ballpoint pins. Oh, yes. I think we have some in the shop. They might be sold out, but y'all be buying everything from my shop, selling me out. Then I got to wait to get the notification so I can restock because I can't keep track of hundreds and hundreds of products. But it's a great problem to have, so I appreciate it. Okay, Lynette is saying, I have a hard time with neckbands. I need more practice. We're about to get to the neckband, Miss Lynette. So I'm going to show you how I do that, and we're going to see. Hopefully it turns out good because I'll tell you what happened. My neckband piece, and I'm going to go ahead and pin the other side so we can stitch this up quick. My neckband piece has a mark on it that says to cut on the fold. Like everything else we need to cut, right? So we end up with a symmetrical piece. Your sleeves, the front and back of your bodice pieces, all that. Well, guess what? Because this was a little remnant piece, the end of the bolt from selling all the fabric bundles, it wasn't enough to have or to make much more than this short sleeve t-shirt. And so I had a little bit of a problem because it was either going to be a solid black neckband, which I would totally rock, but I wanted to keep it all the same. And so I kept folding the fabric, trying to see, could I get the doubled length of the thing on the fold? And I couldn't. So guess what I did? Exactly what I tell y'all not to do. I turned the fabric on its side and I cut it on the fold along the lengthwise grain. But it worked. You know why? Because the neckband piece is for the self fabric. So the neckband piece, here's my notch, and on this side it matches perfectly, so I know on the other side I'll be all right. The neckband, this pattern actually includes two neckband pieces. Shout out to Jalie, who's always thinking. They do such a great job drafting their patterns, okay? And that's why I always make them first. I go through samples. I talk to the girls at Jalie, make sure, I ask any questions that I have as I'm preparing for the course so that I know exactly um, what to answer to my students when they ask me a question about this, things that I had questions about. So we go through the whole thing. And so trust me, when I teach a class on a Jalie pattern, it's been well vetted. I've made several, and I know it's going to work to give my students really, really good, successful results. Now, there's two pattern pieces for the neckband in this project because you can make the neckband out of ribbing, like proper ribbing, which stretches a ton, or you can make it out of the same fabric, assuming you're still working with the fabric that has that minimum 15% stretch, okay? So because this fabric has more than 15% stretch, even along the lengthwise grain, I went ahead and did that. So it should work out fine. But just know that that's not just like a through and through rule that you can do, It just happened to work out in this specific pattern because it calls for such a small amount of stretch that I know I had. And you know what? On the next side, I don't even want to do it. I'm going to stitch a little bit with a lightning stitch so that y'all can see how much longer it takes. Whew. I don't even want to do it, but I'll do it for instructional purposes because it is so slow. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I did, Barb. That's exactly what I did. But I only did it because it would work. But it feels weird as you're folding it and prepping it because you can tell that it doesn't have as much stretch as the degree of greatest stretch, right? Along the crosswise grain. I'm like, it's stretching, but not as much as I wanted to, but it should be okay because it's still more than what I need. So in the course videos, for those of you that sign up or if you're already registered, first of all, if you're already registered, welcome. You can log in. I've sent out emails to everybody who has signed up with all the information, videos that show you step-by-step how to log in, how to navigate the course platform. Everything is laid out super easily for you there. And if you download the course calendar, the first 8 videos have already been posted. So the calendar shows you the dates and times when the batches of the video lessons are posted to the course account. So right now there's 8 videos posted that y'all can log in and watch, and it's all prep work stuff. It's going through the measurement charts, selecting, taking your body measurements, selecting the Jalie size that you're going to make, cross-referencing it with the finished garment measurements, all of that stuff, okay? So that goes to some of y'all that maybe are on the fence. If you sign up for the class between now and Monday, February 19th, you will be able to save $40. So you can get it at the early bird sale price of $67, okay? Glenda says, I'm already registered. Awesome. Who else is on here that's already registered? Let's see. Oh, great. So Glenda's asking, the pattern says back order. Do you know when you are getting more? Yes. So we already have more on the way. So they'll either be here. Monday's a holiday. So I think they'll be here Tuesday. And as soon as we have them in hand, we're shipping out all those back orders. Okay. So if you want to go ahead and order it now, know that you'll be in the line, in the queue to get yours as soon as our order arrives. All right. So yeah, we placed another order as soon as we saw we were starting to get close to selling out. So thank y'all for that. Yes, Lynette says video 6 in the course is awesome. I'm tracing my pattern with confidence. Go you! I cannot wait to see your finished top, Miss Lynette. Which one are you going to start off with? Which view are you going to make first? Okay, Barbara says she's in. Annette says I'm registered. Shelly's in. Kathy says I'm registered. Rebecca's registered. Awesome. Oh, I'm so happy. Susie says me. Hi, Susie. Rosalie says she's in. Thank you. Yes. And Willis Original says, such an amazing price. I mean, it is. I talked about this the other day. We're trying to keep the prices low for everybody because I know fabric prices have gone up. Sewing machine prices, if you haven't gotten a sewing machine before this year, everything has been going up, up, and up. Even the pattern price has gone up. And so we've kept the price of our courses the same over the past several years. So hopefully that helps y'all, because I know even now sometimes people don't even have time, or a lot of shops closing. You don't have a local sewing store. I was saying a couple nights ago that if you were to take a class like this at a local sewing shop, and I know because I used to have a local sewing shop and I taught classes, I would have taught maybe one of the looks, the easiest, shortest one, so like a short sleeve t-shirt. It would have been an all-day class, and 3 months after you leave from that class, you won't remember a thing. Which is the downside to taking a class in person. You don't have videos that you can go back and watch. You don't have videos that you can fast forward. You don't have videos that you can slow down. For those of you that think that I speak too fast, know that all my video lessons, there is speed control. So you can slow me down or you can speed me up. And I know a lot of my advanced students will speed me up, just get on with it, bum, bum, bum. They go to see what's the next step and they get right to it. And my beginner students slow me down. You can rewind, replay, and then remember that whenever you sign up for any of my courses, you never lose access to them. So it's yours indefinitely. Whenever you feel like logging in, I have people that literally sign up for my classes 2, 3, and 4 years before their retirement, because they're like in 3 years, or they're counting down. They'll say like in 37 months. When I retire, I'm going to log in and catch up on all these projects, which is awesome. That for that same, $67 price point, you have access to all the video lessons indefinitely. And it's not like a little quickie tutorial. This course features over 20 video lessons. So I said today, as of today, there's already 8 different videos posted, and we haven't even gotten to the sewing yet. So you already know how in-depth it is, okay? Awesome. Marianne says she's in. Her pattern should arrive tomorrow. Susie says, what else can you buy that is of this quality that you can access forever? It's a no-brainer. Well, thank you, Miss Susie. I definitely appreciate that. Okay, awesome. Okay, so here's my shirt. It's funny because this is a size W. So what did I say? 4 sizes smaller than my usual size. And you'll see that it's still going to fit me just fine, because you know what I did? Exactly what I showed y'all in the last live chat. Do you remember when Jennifer Lee gave me her measurements and we went through and walked through the size charts and saw how, like, what size I would pick, and then we cross-referenced it with the finished garment measurements? That's what I did with this. So I went in here into my PDF for finished garment measurements. And remember, this is size W. This is my husband's size. So size W, I went here and I looked what the chest measurement is, 43 and a half, okay? And my full bust is like 43 and something, or 44. So because the fabric has a ton of stretch, I know that that's going to fit me just fine. So I double checked it there to make sure that even sizing down this much, I just won't have as much ease, but it'll still fit me fine. All right, but if I keep this torso as long as this thing is, whoo, this is going to be yours for sure, because this thing is not going to fit me. It's way too long. Okay, now I'm going to leave the hemming for last. Let's work on this neckband. We have a little slit here for the center front. Put my pin right here. And just from barely stretching this, I'm going to be able to tell if this is going to work or not. But it will, because again, the fabric along the lengthwise grain had way more. And what am I even doing? Really? Nobody was going to tell me? Was anybody going to tell me that I was putting that on the wrong side? I know somebody out there was hollering. I've done that before, where people are like, no, you forgot to something, something. And then make sure I don't have any twists. Here, here, here. This looks good. Yeah. Oh, there's not even that much room. That'll be plenty to stitch down. So when I teach this differently. I put more pins and tell you to quarter it and do all that. We're just going to wing it, because that's what I do. I just need one in the center front and the center back. And as I work my way around, I can see how much more I need to get to the next pin. And that's the other halfway point. Easy peasy. Okay? So we're going to start on the back. Oh, and I said I was going to do the straight stitch on the other side seam, and I'm already done. Whew. I guess I subconsciously really did not want to do it, because that thing is so slow. All right, let's start here. I'm starting a little bit off from the center back. Yeah, that's perfect. Let me think. Am I doing this right? Yeah. I can't hear y'all screaming, no, you're doing it wrong. No, but I'm doing it right. It's just, you know why? It gets me confused sometimes because I'm normally doing this with the pretty side of the fabric facing out. I rarely have it like this where I'm looking instead at the wrong side of the fabric. I'm trying not to stretch the exterior, but... All right. Audubon is asking, how do I not get wrinkles in my neckband? Ooh, you got to press, press, press that. I press it first, then put your template piece on it, cut it out, then you sew the ends or however, you know, whatever the steps are to make that specific neckband. Then you sew it and then you press it and then you press it in half and then you press it some more. It's the only way because then it makes it a lot easier to actually work with. The last thing you want to be trying to do is get the neckband, be stretching the neckband to fit, but you're also dealing with folds and pleats and wrinkles. Oh no, that would be a mess. And it also would make it super difficult for you to see. Look, ooh, it's perfect. At least I'm coming around to the center front and it's perfect, y'all. Okay. What was I saying before I was just completely lost in my neckband perfection here? That if it was wrinkled and stuff, it would also be tricky and it'll make it more difficult for you to see the edge of the fabric that you're trying to line it up with, right? Like when you're like the raw edge of my neckband with the raw edge of my fabric, if this is all wrinkled and crinkled, oh, forget about it. You're not going to get an accurate seam because it's not flat, you know, it's not lying flat. And the seam allowance for this whole pattern is 1/4 inch seam, okay? Oh, so Gail says, sometimes my neckband doesn't lay flat but leans forward. Do you have an idea why? I'm trying to think what you mean by leans forward. Sometimes if the neckband is too long, the weight of it can, like if it's too wide, I mean, it can collapse in half forward. I have a video where I teach you how to measure the circumference of a neckline, of a cut neckline, and cut your neckband strips specifically to match it perfectly. And that is going to be in my free sew along for this top, for my Westchester Dolman top. It's a woman's pattern that comes in 6 sizes. It's a free PDF that you can download, and it has a 7-part free video series. So I walk you through step by step how to make that one. And in that, I teach you how to measure the neckline opening and cut and make a neckband. So that would be a really good one for you to do so you can see and then compare to what it is that you had on yours, you know, or what the pattern piece was that you used for your neckband, or were you measuring and cutting your own one. That one has a really, really good tutorial on how to do that. Okay. Oh, yep, it worked nicely. This, I would probably go back in and zigzag stitch it just so all the seam allowances stay together, and then I would top stitch from the outside, but you get it. I'm just going to press this here so I can show you. And I'm looking for my tailor's ham, and I do have it, so I'm going to go grab it real quick. Yes, sir. I think I'll leave this one for you, B. It's cute. You can wear it with your funky sneakers that match. Oops. So now let's pump up our air compressor. I gotta pump it before I can come in here. And so I don't like to just, I mean, you could just press it flat if you wanted to, but since I have a tailor's ham, I like to come in here and just put something round of it, you know, so that I can, as I press that seam allowance down and into the project, I can get it nice and flat and curved. Ooh, y'all can look for puckers if you want to, baby. There are 0 here. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you're running low on fabric and the lengthwise grain of the fabric that you're using has more than the 15% stretch, you can use that if you want to keep it, you know, the same fabric. And I'm just hitting it with my tailor's clapper just to kind of help set that seam allowance down. Oh, and it's staying pretty down here. I can. Tamara says you can get a facial using that iron. Yes. I quite often do. Sometimes when it's cold and I'm in here and I have this iron going, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm perfect," because it's like just a nice steamy area to be working with without having to turn on the heater. But I knew I had the iron on already because I was working on something else before. So I told my daughter to crank the AC down some for the live because I'm like, between this light and this iron, oh, I'm going to be sweating on this live tonight, I said. Okay. So Gail's asking, can I use a pretty woven as a neckband on a knit tee? So if that woven fabric doesn't stretch at least 15%, you're not going to be able to use it here. So I would either try to find a proper stretch ribbing or a fabric that stretches. I wouldn't even go as close to the 15%. Like I'd look for something that has 30, 40 to or more stretch to add that to the neckband, okay? Oh, look how pretty that looks. And then the seam allowance, oh, it popped back up on me here. And I was trying to feel for the seam allowance, which is often what I do to see how close you would need to go in there and top stitch to make sure that you catch that seam allowance going down. So in this case, the seam allowance for everything on the pattern, obviously except the hems, is just 1/4 of an inch. And so your top stitching would have to be really close, you know, about 1/8 of an inch down if you really wanted to hold that in place. If this was for me, I could probably stand to leave it like this, but if my husband is going to wear it, then it's going to have to be stitched down. He's not going to like that little seam allowance itching him on his neck. Is that right? Yeah, I know you. He'll be like, something's wrong with this. I don't know what you did. Okay, but look at that. Doesn't that look good, that crew neckline? Oh my word. This shirt is super cute. And then we would just come in here and hem. Whoop, I got a thread coming out. When you see threads like that coming out of a seam, don't yank them. It might be coming out from the end of your seam and you'll start unraveling the whole thing. I just trim it close to the shirt. All right. Yes, Tamara says, I learned doing neckbands on the Westchester Dolman after making 3. Now it's not hard at all. Practice really helps. I love to hear that, Tamara. Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Aries Wonder says it looks like a vintage steam iron. It kind of does. It has that blast, super blast of water. It has a water reservoir thing on the back. I actually just refilled it today because I'd be going through a ton of steam. Y'all know that on my other iron, I don't like to put water in it because we have well water here. And so I just use that one as a dry iron. So I kind of swap off in between the 2 irons so that I have one that's specifically for steam like that and the other one just for heat. So, oh, Dolores says, I just signed up. Awesome. Sherry says a double needle for the hem on a sewing machine works good too. Yeah, you can use a twin needle. What did you call it? A double needle? Yeah, a twin needle or a double needle to do your hems. I usually just go like this and turn this thing under. Like this. Because if you tug here and here, it usually just wants to fold a certain amount. And then I will just make sure that that certain amount is enough going all the way around. And then I'm going to flip it this way because I hit it with the iron once I tug it like this a little. I can't remember what the pattern says for the hem allowance, but maybe 3/4 of an inch or something. I really like 3/4 of an inch hems on stretch knits. I think it looks really nice. Even 1-inch hems look really neat. Like if you top stitch, you know, that distance away. Where's my clapper? Here you are. All right. Sherry asks, are you using a stretch stitch? Welcome, Sherry. I think you may have missed the beginning part of the show where I said it's you could use a stretch stitch. I recommend it for people who are kind of just starting off, and if it's going to be a garment that you need to stretch a lot to get it on and stuff like that. But I didn't do it in this case because it takes too long to stitch out. I would have been here till 11. Waiting on these side seams, okay? Let's see. Yes, Heather, the pattern has a long sleeve version. Absolutely. Patrice says, could you just lengthen the sleeve length if you wanted by a couple of inches? Absolutely. And actually on the pattern, and we talk about this in the video course, where you stop for each of the different looks that you want to achieve. So the sleeves and the bodice pieces, the front and the back, will have lines that tell you where to cut it if you want to either lengthen or shorten. So what I was talking about earlier about the torso of this t-shirt being too long for my short torso, there's a line on the pattern piece that I could cut it and shorten it if I wanted to there. Which on something like this, it'd be simple to just go straight up the sides. That's why I left it like this to see. And then after the fact or before I hem it, if I was going to keep it for myself, I could just cut off because there's no shaping down the sides here. Does that make sense? This is just a straight rectangle going all the way down. So I could chop it here and then hem it for myself if I needed to. But like we established here, I think I'm going to give this one to my husband and he can, I've already made him the long sleeve t-shirt, was the same size, same length, just long sleeves. And I know that the length was perfect on him and he has a long torso. Okay. Um, Let's see. Nancy says, I like to wear a V-neck. Is it difficult to make for a beginner? So I've had several people ask me about V-necks, and I teach a couple of V-neck classes in my Westchester Dolman Top Hack Pack. It's like a bundle, of course, where I teach you how to change the neckline from like a lower scoop, higher V-neck options, longer sleeve. We turned it into a dress. Like we did a bunch of stuff to that free Westchester Dolman Top pattern and changed it up into there. It's not difficult. You just have to know which V-neck version you're doing and to make sure that you measure that neckband correctly so that you have enough to overlap the seam and stuff at the bottom here without having like an extra thing going on. Lynette says, I have to remember to use my clapper, Miss Lynette. So this is like the easiest thing to reach for. I try to keep 4 or 5 around me at all times because if I touch something with an iron and I can't reach and find my clapper, I will be upset. I literally will burn my hand just to like put it on there and help press it down because there's nothing more satisfying than a flat seam. You got to remember to use your clapper. It's a very important tool to have around. All right, let's see. Jennifer Lee says, I bought the black and white sweater knit from my fabric sale. Is it considered a rib knit? And if so, can I use it for the cuffs and the band? Okay, no. That knit is not light. It's a heavy sweater knit, and I have a scrap piece of it here, so I'll show you. I wouldn't use it for the cuff because doubled up is what I'm thinking it's a lot. I mean, unless you live in somewhere super cold, this is thick. This fabric, I think a 3-yard cut of this weighed almost 4 pounds. I mean, it's thick. It's funny because on camera I'm looking at it now and it looks like it's a light, but it's not light. It has a good weight to it. In terms of stretch, you can definitely use it. Just when you get it, Jennifer, if you haven't gotten the fabric already, check and see if doubled up, you don't find that it's too thick for you. Okay, for the cuffs. For me, I mean, I'm sweating just thinking about it. But she says for the cuffs and for the band on the hoodie. Yeah, so for the bottom of the hem band of the hoodie, this would work fine because it is doubled up there. But I think that would work fine unless you were using like a really lightweight fabric for the body of the hoodie. Then this might be like a little bit too thick on the bottom, I think. But if the main fabric you're going to be using for the hoodie is similar in weight to this, then this would work nicely for the hemband. And then see what you think about having it doubled up around the cuff for you, For me, I probably wouldn't just because it's kind of thick for me, okay? Yeah, so let's see. Ooh, Crystal says, I just set up a projector for my cutting table. Was so excited to see Jalie PDF patterns come with projector files. Yeah, that's wild. Let me know how that goes. I haven't ventured into projector files, and I have 0 plans of venturing into projector files. Whew, that's just more gadgets and tools that I don't need. But that I can see how people love that. Definitely saves space, and you just, I guess you calibrate it for the distance up, and then boom, or to whatever little scale thing shows you, and then you start tracing off with the light. That sounds awesome. Let me know how that turns out and how it works with the Jalie patterns. I'd be curious to hear about that. Can you make this t-shirt with linen fabric that doesn't stretch? No. So this is one thing. When you are making a pattern, okay, you got to follow the directions on the pattern. Yes, more advanced sewists will like exchange stuff, replace things in a pattern. But when this one tells you you need a 15% stretch minimum, you want to stick with that. Okay, because it's 4 stretch fabrics, right? So you're not going to be able to make a fabric that doesn't stretch. It's not going to work on something like this. Okay, and just the simplest thing I will say, if a fabric doesn't stretch and you have this neckline, you're never going to be able to put it over your head. Okay, that's why when you see, say, woven tops like the Jalie Giselle, which I taught a couple years ago, I mean, I still have the class online, but we launched that one a few years ago. It has a similar neckline that's like high up like this, but you have to have an opening on the back with a loop and a button because it needs to be open for you to get your head through since it doesn't stretch. So there's all types of specific design elements built into the pattern and the finished garment itself that are designed based on the fabric that they're requiring that you have. Okay. Wendy says, where do you find out how much your fabric stretches? So lucky for you, Wendy, I have a bunch of videos, at least 5 to 8 videos on fabric stretch and how to tell how much fabric stretches, how to tell how much percentage it has on my YouTube channel. So you can go to TheCraftyGemini on YouTube, and it's the last video that I posted. Literally, it says how to measure fabric stretch. Okay? So you can check that out there. Or if you just do a YouTube search for Crafty Gemini fabric stretch or stretch knits, they'll all pop up for you. Sherry says, so you start with measuring the body or not? So both. You can go back and watch the last live I did, my Whip Wednesday live. We did it on Valentine's evening, just a couple days ago, and I go through the whole thing. Like, how do you start? Somebody suggested their body measurements, and I went through and chose with their body measurements how to select the pattern, how to check the finished garment measurements, and all that. And of course, if you sign up for my class, I cover everything in depth. There's step-by-step video lessons in the course where I go over everything before we get to sewing, and we're going to sew all the looks: the short sleeve shirt, the long sleeve t-shirt, long sleeve, what else, and the hoodie. So pullover, short sleeve or long sleeve t-shirt, pullover, and hoodie. Okay, and you'll have all the information in the online course on how to make any of the looks that are included in the pattern. And you can see it right here at the bottom of the pattern sheet. Long sleeve with cuffs, short sleeve, no cuffs, just the rib neck or ribbing or another knit for the neckline, like how I did for this t-shirt. You got the hoodie. You have cropped also because you have different lengths that you can cut your pattern or trace your pattern out at. Okay, lots and lots of different looks that you can make, and you can see that just based on the fabric that you are choosing, you end up with a totally different looking garment. Okay. So yeah, and it's for everybody. The hard copy pattern, it shows as back ordered on our site right now, but we are getting more in stock. They're already on their way to us. We should have them Tuesday, I believe, since Monday's a holiday here. And as soon as we get them in stock, we will ship them out immediately, so you can order it. Yes, Aries Wanderer is asking, do we sell the patterns? Yes, so you can go ahead and order it, and as soon as they're in our hands, we're shipping them out to all those orders that came in this weekend. You have until Monday night to sign up for the class at $67, which is $40 off the regular price. On Tuesday, February 20th, the price is going to go up to $107. You will still be able to sign up then, but you'll just be able to sign up at the regular price, okay? So, yes, Lynette says Vanessa covers so much info in her free videos even before you decide to join. Definitely. I have I have hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube, but if you're looking for some hand holding on a step-by-step in-depth class on how to sew with stretch knits and make these garments featuring this Jalie pattern, make sure that you take advantage of that early bird sale price, y'all. Okay. Kathy's asking, where can I find the dolman top information? So if you go to craftygemini.com/Westchester dolman top, you'll find the info there, or you just Google. Just type in Crafty Gemini dolman top. It'll pop up right there for you. Okay. Brenda's asking if I have ribbing in stock. I do not. We're looking to post. We still have to get this counted up and inventoried. Black cotton spandex that I'm using as ribbing because it has plenty of stretch for it. It's just a solid black cotton spandex blend. So we'll have that up on the site shortly, and we will send out an email when it's posted. If you're not on our, speaking of emails, if you're not on our email newsletter list, make sure that you sign up. It's craftygemini.com/newsletter, and make sure that you're on that list, because those of you that wanted to get this fabric when it sold out, everything we post to the site, courses, sales, all that goes first to my email newsletter subscribers. So once they eat up all their first dibs, then everybody else kind of misses out. So if you're on that email, you get first dibs to all that. Marsh is asking, will it work with 100% cotton t-shirt knit fabric? So it doesn't matter if it's 100% cotton. What matters is that stretch. Now, if it stretches more than 15%, you may be able to make it. However, if that fabric is 100% cotton and it has no spandex, elastane, lycra in it, okay, anything that gives it that bounce and bounce back, then what happens? When you put it on, it's going to stretch and it'll stay stretched. because it doesn't have any fiber blend, like a fiber content blend in there that allows it to spring and jump right back. So I'm not a fan of 100%. It's like cotton interlock. Oh, that stuff is a nightmare. You put it on and it literally just stretches over your bust, stretches over your shoulders, and it just like gets longer as the day goes by. I used to buy some of that stuff at Joann's when my kids were little, and I mean, their pajamas pants would just like they're like little loungewear, and it would just like slip off of them barely, even with the elastic. Like they would just keep going down, down, down as the day went on. All right, let's see. Janice is asking, will you show us how you hem the sleeve? So I'm not going to have time tonight to hem the sleeve, but you can see how I prepped it. I turned it under by about 3/4 of an inch on mine here, and then you could just top stitch it there. If you wanted to finish off the raw edge a little bit more, you could fold it like this. You know, once you have your hem allowance folded exactly how you want it, then I can come back out like that and zigzag stitch along the outer edge, then fold it back in place. I always like to fold before I do anything to the outer edge to make sure that it's still clean and crisp, and I find that it just makes it easier for me to fold it right where I want it, press it where I want it, and keep that crease. As long as I set it with the clapper, it'll hold the crease for me to be able to then pull this out, zigzag stitch, and then easily just pop everything back in. And then I would just top stitch here. Okay, and the top stitching, really, when you have your hem turned under about 3/4 of an inch or an inch, you can top stitch closer to the edge here. I don't like the look of that, but you can also top stitch closer this way. You just want to make sure that you're grabbing both layers of fabric. And I do, like I said earlier, I like the look of like a 3/4 inch top stitching on stretch knits, like for the hem, even 5/8 of an inch. It looks substantial, and I just like the way that it looks between 5/8 of an inch and 1 inch. And then I would just come in here and top stitch all the way around, do the same thing to the other sleeve, and then you would do the same thing to the bottom. Same thing. You just turn it under. And here, because you have a lot of fabric to work with, you can literally measure it if you want to, mark it if you want to. You can just fold a little, hit it with the iron, fold a little, hit it with the iron. Just keep working your way around till you get a nice consistent fold under for your full hem. Okay, awesome. Yay. I see so many of you are saying that you're all signed up. Nancy has signed up and is ready to learn. Great. I love to hear it. All right, well, great. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. I hope you learned a little something, maybe got excited about joining my class. And when I take a picture of my husband wearing this t-shirt, I will post it and share it with y'all. So just remember, you got Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You got 3 more days to sign up and save 40 bucks on the new class. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody, and I will see you